opportunities that JMU offers to get involved with when it comes to like either club sports or intramurals is something that's really welcoming and kind of can make people feel at home. It kind of just creates a more inclusive environment, especially for some students that might be looking for their place here at JMU or looking for people to like share common interests with.
Being in Bluestones has made me who I am. We really have the ability to like be who we want in front of each other. Because of these friendships, I feel like JMU has allowed me to have a family.
I joined water polo in my first semester of my freshman year. It's been one of the biggest impacts on my JMU experience just because of the people that I've gotten to interact with, and I've met some of my best friends on the team, and so I think that is what has really impacted my JMU experience.
It's extremely easy to get involved with pretty much any organization on campus and also provide the community with such a necessity.
JMU has all these great opportunities for everybody. You have that sense of home and sense of family within like a group that's at college. Everyone can find a place at JMU that best fits them, and it's the greatest experience ever.
Hello, JMU. Thanks so much for joining us today for the Student Involvement live stream for Virtual Choices. We're excited to have you all here. I'm Dr. Tim Miller. I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs and a double Duke, and I get to provide vision and support for the Student Affairs team and get to work with amazing JMU students every single day. Our team seeks to support every student in finding their place in this community and knowing that they belong. We're excited to hear your questions, talk with you today, and do whatever we can to help you as you think through the rest of the summer and get ready to come and join us this fall at this amazing community. I'm coming to you live from campus and can't wait to have you talk to our panel and learn from them. So we're gonna jump right into the panel and have each of them introduce themselves. So I'll pass it off to the panelists and do some introductions.
Hi everybody, my name is Darius Perkins and I'm the coordinator of Student Org Management within the Office of Student Activities and Involvement.
Hi, I'm Katie Weems. I'm a senior political science major, and I'm the Vice President of Programming for the University Program Board and a student employee in the Office of Student Activities and Involvement.
Hi everyone, my name is Misty Newman. I'm one of the Associate Directors in Community Service Learning, and I'm an 04 grad as well. Go Duke.
Hi everyone, my name is Aaliyah McLean. I am a senior media arts and design major, and I am currently the student body president, and I also am a alternate weekend break coordinator for the Community Service Learning Office. I had the chance to work with orientation last year, and I also am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Siobhan Moore. I'm the Associate Director in the Center for Multicultural Student Services that works with multicultural programs and engagement.
Hi everyone, I'm Lexi Swinimer. I'm the Assistant Director for Fraternity and Sorority Life, and I work with our Panhellenic and Interfraternity Councils.
Hi, my name is Olivia Sullivan. I'm a part of Greek Life and Gamma Phi Beta, and I'm a member of the Marathon Executive Board.
All right, great. Well, thanks everyone. I think that's everybody here. We're gonna go through the format. We're gonna hear from you all. Hopefully you have questions. You can put them in the comments section. We'll go through those. But while we're waiting for some of those to come in, I'm gonna share some different things and have each of these folks answer a few questions to get us started. So to begin, can each of you describe a little bit about the programs you work with for students, the things you're involved in? We'll do the same order just to make it a little bit easier to understand. So we'll again start with Darius. Share a little bit about sort of what you do and the programs you work with here at JMU.
Yeah, so as I said before, I work in the Office of Student Activities and Involvement. There's a couple of different things that are housed within Student Activities and Involvement. We have our student clubs and organizations, which about right now we have about 420 recognized student organizations at JMU. University Program Board is ran through our office as well. They're responsible for a lot of our large-scale student programming that happens on campus. We also have our Mad for You programming, which is programming that takes place in the Madison Union, but they specifically work towards contemplative practices. So things like Koru, And they have different tea times for people to come to have conversations, sit down with students and just have those daily conversations, open mic night. So we have different programs like that. Me specifically, one of the programs that I work with is Student Organite, which is our organization fair. That's specifically for first year students to come in and see all the clubs and organizations that JMU has to offer, talk to the student leaders that are in those organizations, and those organizations get a chance to really highlight what they're about, what their recruitment processes look like, and things like that. So Student Organite is going to be your kind of first chance to kind of see where you belong at JMU.
All right, Katie?
So yeah, Darius just mentioned the University Program Board, but we're one of the largest student-run organizations on campus, and we put on over 200 events a year for the JMU and Harrisonburg communities. All of our events are open to the public and open to everyone on campus, and most of them are free. So we're just really focused on providing good experiences and different activities for everyone in our community.
Great. So Misty, tell us a little bit about community service learning.
Right, so if you have been involved with community service opportunities right now, or if you've just always thought about getting started, or perhaps what we're going through right now just motivates you to want to do some service and get connected to your community, we're your place to find that connection. So whether you'd like to get connected in the Harrisonburg community, like working maybe an hour a week with an after school program or something else locally throughout the whole semester, we can connect you with that. Or also, as Aaliyah was mentioning, we have an alternative break program. So anytime there's an academic break, whether that's fall, winter, spring, May, we send out students across the US and some to Central and South America to do service for that week-long or 4-day kind of break in the academic calendar. So you get to go in teams and do service with a variety of social issues. And we actually even have one that we plan specifically for first-year students, like new transfers or incoming first years. So we'll talk about that later.
All right, Aaliyah?
Yeah, so some things I do, just like what Misty mentioned, is really helping students train up to on their breaks and really understanding what does it look like to lead a break and what are the social issues that we're going to dive into when we go to these communities. And so that's something I love to see students really get involved with, because you start challenging your own beliefs and you kind of start creating what you really believe in your life and really focusing on like what that means to you. And then with the student government, really focus on just advocating for students and knowing what does it look like for you to be here and what things do you want to be changed, and really highlighting that your voice really does matter and things like that. And then my chance of my work with CMSS, we've gotten to really just, I think, just lead programs for minority students and meeting minority students where they are so they can feel welcomed and just understand that your voice is heard and that you matter at JMU.
Great. And then Siobhan, if you can embed the first half of question 1 in your answer, can you explain the new member process and if it will look different for the coming fall given the current situation into your overall sort of overview of what CMSS does?
Sure, absolutely. So the Center for Multicultural Student Services, or CMSS as we fondly call it, is a center that celebrates diversity. We celebrate that we want to provide educational and celebratory programs where students are able to value diversity, not just within themselves, but also with others. So with that, we provide a lot of different types of programming with our center. So we do that through the 33 student organizations that we have under our center. We do have Greek Life. They're all culturally based sororities and fraternities under our department. We also have some religious affiliated organizations, more academic organizations, as well as cultural identity based organizations as well. So in regards to our new member process as it pertains to our Greek Life, it is a different type of process. We don't necessarily go through recruitment like sororities and fraternities under FSL do, but we have what we call membership intake. And so what we do a Meet the Greeks program in the fall and the spring, so students can come out, can really get a feel for the organizations, feel for the students who are part of these organizations, and then seek, to have membership at that point by seeking out those organizations and going through those individual processes.
Great. And fraternity and sorority life is a pretty popular topic right now on the board here. We have questions from Jennifer, Kelly, and Cindy. So Lexi and Olivia, why don't you go ahead and give an overview, and then we'll dive in and give you all three of the first 3 questions after you give us an overview of fraternity and sorority life at JMU.
Sure, great. So Like Siobhan said, there are some of our culturally based organizations are housed under CMSS with Siobhan, and our interfraternity council is our male fraternities, and then we have our Panhellenic council, which is our sororities, and they're both housed under Fraternity and Sorority Life. So our Panhellenic Council is the governing body for our Panhellenic organizations on campus. We have 13 Panhellenic sororities, and then Interfraternity Council is the governing body for those fraternities, and we have 17 fraternities on campus. I encourage you to check out our website. We have a page that lists all of our organizations on there, and it tells you all about the organizations, and it explains kind of who they are on campus, what they've been doing. It also will give you some oversight into if there's organizations that are having things coming up. You can go to their website, their Facebook pages, Instagram, and check those kinds of things out. So that's sort of how our office oversees those operations. Let Olivia go, and I'll answer questions.
Olivia, anything you want to add?
Sure. So I'm in Gamma Phi Beta, and I think being in a sorority is a great way to meet people, feel like a really strong bond to the school and to people like you, and maybe even to people unlike you. And it also really gets your foot in the water with some community service, because each sorority has their own philanthropy, which is something that I'm very passionate, and like everyone I know is passionate about their own philanthropy. So I'd really encourage people to check it out. The Instagrams are full of pictures and full of information. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to skip the other questions I had ready and just jump into everybody else's. So, Lexi, you've got 3 or so here. So first,
Yep.
Jennifer, can you explain the rush process and if it will look different for the coming fall given the current situation?
Sure. So Jennifer, our primary recruitment process is at the end of September. It'll be the last 2 weekends in September, and that is the plan for right now. Obviously, if something changes from our state government or that JMU decides for how we're going to operate, then we will approach that then. But for right now, our plan, as is JMU's, is that we are hoping we'll be back in the fall, and we will do formal recruitment as we normally would, which is at the end of September. So the primary recruitment or formal recruitment is what it's called for women. Right now, we don't have any plans for that to look any different. And then another person asked about recruitment and the MRDs, I believe, or Marching Royal Dukes.
Yeah,
so
about that.
Yes. So we encourage people to be a part of more than just their sorority or fraternity. And so we really have people who are involved in lots of different things outside of just their sorority or fraternity. Now, of course, the MRDs have a pretty stringent schedule that they follow in the fall. And so that's the kind of thing that you probably want to talk to your band director about. If you have a chair or a first lead who is kind of your leader, they'll probably be able to tell you better about that. But as far as the sororities, there's no reason that we wouldn't allow you to be a part of both. And we really encourage getting involved in other things on campus. So that's just a matter of balancing your schedule and making sure that both groups know when you have commitments and how you can work around that. But that's definitely something that our chapters would work with you on.
All right. And then we have a question from Cindy about if sororities need letters of recommendation.
Perfect. So yeah, you can get letters of recommendations if you want to, but that is not a requirement at JMU, and it certainly will not stop you from joining a sorority. So if you have an aunt or a neighbor who was in a chapter and it's easy for you to get a recommendation and they want to do that, then that's great. And the chapters will accept that, but that is not common practice, and you shouldn't stress yourself out trying to get letters of recommendations for all 13 organizations. It will not prohibit you from going through recruitment or getting matched with any of our chapters on campus.
Great. And then Siobhan, I'm going to actually jump out of order here and see if you can answer question 7 from Geneva about intake for African-American sororities and fraternities for Geneva's question.
Yes. Geneva, so for our recruitment, if you will, or membership intake process for our African American sororities and fraternities. It happens at various times. So there isn't a specific time where everyone is going through that process at the same time. It's very specific on that organization and when they plan to have membership intake and when they are able to do that based on their national organization. So I know that's a really vague response, but it is really dependent on each organization.
Great. And then Olivia has agreed to respond to the Hillel question from Brianna.
Yeah. Okay. So when I came to JMU, I wanted like a strong Jewish community wherever I could find that. And that's really important to me. So if that's really important to you, then I'd highly encourage looking into Hillel. Basically, there's a rabbi named Morty who leads Shabbat dinners every Friday night. Best food, best people. It's off campus, but anyone is welcome to give you a ride there wherever you need. And it's just a really wonderful place to be. We also have Mega Shabbat, which is a huge amount of Jewish people who come together and have a big Shabbat. Also amazing food, all home cooked. So if you're really interested in exploring like Jewish life on campus, I'd recommend looking into the Hillel. And they have an Instagram if you want to look up more information about that too.
And on campus, we have both a Chabad and a Hillel. So you'll have those options. You can learn more about that. So great. And then I'm going to ask Aaliyah to talk about student government and homecoming and student government in general, but then also homecoming from Elise.
Yes. So thank you so much for that question. The student government does get the opportunity to work with homecoming activities. And so primarily we really plan Purple Out, and we also help with Madison Majesty, which is selecting the Madison Royal Court. And so our vice president oversees all of our homecoming activities. And next year we're really looking to strengthen our relationship with the Alumni Relations Center and really try to provide more opportunities for alum and different students. And so Purple Out is a big event where you get the I Bleed Purple shirt, and that happens either on Hillside or it's happened on the stadium field before. But really that's like the event to really introduce who the Madison Majesties are, the Royal Court, and also to really bring in the spirit of homecoming. And so we get to work with all of that while still. So we get the social side and we also get the advocacy side with SGA, which is really fun.
Great. And then we're going to talk about the scholarships question about student organizations that give some scholarships, question from Jody. Jody, briefly, there are actually a number of different organizations on campus that have scholarships. It's hard to sort of list all of them, but I know even I know Aaliyah's sorority has scholarship that they do. There are a bunch of other groups that do. So it really is sort of each group does it differently. So it's something you'd want to get in and then learn about those different things. There's also a lot that are offered that you don't have to be in a group to get it as well. So I'll pass it off to Darius if I miss some details, but there are a number of those. It's hard to give you the full list here on the call, but there are a number of student organizations that have scholarships.
Right, Tim. Just to add off of that, a lot of fraternities and sororities do offer scholarships, as well as a lot of honor society type organizations. They're also responsible for giving out a lot of scholarships as well. Organizations like ODK, which is Omicron Delta Kappa. I know that they give out scholarships. And like Tim said, there are also a lot of groups that you don't need to be a part of to receive scholarships.
Okay. And then we're going to pass it off to Misty, who's going to talk to us about the alternative spring break program and how does that work?
Awesome. So many schools have alternative spring break programs, and JMU's is one of the oldest across the country, which is pretty exciting. But it's where you'll go in a group of 10 to 12, and you will be able to go do service domestic or abroad with a variety of social issues, anything from empowering vulnerable populations, such as perhaps working with people who have mental or physical or emotional disabilities, or working with people who are working towards immigration reform, or working with formerly incarcerated persons, to working to sustain and preserve the environment, to working to rebuild homes with people for like a Habitat for Humanity kind of thing. So there's just an option for everyone. And the really unique thing about it is you go in that small group of about 10 to 12, you get to decide where you want to go. It's a first come, first serve sign up process. So you could bring friends with you. You sign up online, kind of preference what you're interested in. There are need-based scholarships like Tim was talking about that you could be awarded. and they're all student led. So the cool thing is you could participate or you could lead, and you can lead in a larger group or a smaller group. But spring break is pretty unique. Like Aaliyah was saying before, she was actually a leader on one of our spring breaks before. And I think it's just a pretty unique leadership and service learning opportunity that really is just married pretty well.
And I would just share personally, alternative breaks 100% changed the direction of my life. My path in the world really changed after doing those trips. So going someplace that was different from me and that I'd never been to for a week and being with people that were different than me and had different experiences really, I think, opened my eyes to the world and made me realize that there was a different and a better way to serve the world than I had in my plan at that time. So I will always be an advocate for those trips and their impact, not only in the world and where you work, but also on yourselves. So I want to do question 9, which asks about how many fraternities and sororities at JMU. I'll start with Siobhan, who can talk about the groups that CMS works with ICGC, and then pass it off to Lexi from there.
All right, so we under CMS have 13 culturally based fraternities and sororities. We have, they are historically Black, Latino, and Asian organizations, not exclusive by any means. So as far as the African American sororities and fraternities, we have 8, and then we have 3 Latinx organizations and 2 Asian interest organizations.
Great, Lexi?
Yeah, so we have 13 Pan-Hellenic sororities and we have 17 Interfraternity Council fraternities, and those are the ones that operate out of our office.
All right. And then I've been asked by Jody to talk a little bit about 1787 orientation. So it will be different, but it's going to actually be a longer experience. So we'll have a few days, 2.5 or so days before classes begin, but then we're doing weeks of welcome that will go for the next 2 weeks. So we'll actually be extending the amount of time that we'll be doing programming for students. So for those that have never been through it, obviously it won't be any different. That'll just be the only thing you know. But we've actually extended it on purpose because I think usually, and Aaliyah can maybe weigh in on this if she wants, and others that have been either frogs or in other roles, usually the students who were involved were pretty much wiped out by the time classes started. And also the students going through it as first-year students tended to be pretty exhausted by the first day of class. So we'd like to help people not be tired before they even get into the heart of this thing, which is going to college. 1787 is our fall orientation program. So it's a continuation of what you're going to get online this summer in Springboard. You come back, move back a few days before classes, and you have the opportunity to connect with everybody, start building your community and your connections before classes begin. And then it will continue once classes continue to go on from there. Aaliyah, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. I think you even knew from a personal standpoint, like so as an orientation peer advisor, so we work directly with the frogs and supervise all the frogs. And so our big role is during Springboard, but really during 1787, we're there just to support them. And for me, I was mentally and physically just exhausted afterwards. And then I had to just kind of start school. And I think even like Misty, Siobhan, like they saw it like truly like kind of wiped me out for a little bit. But I think with the expansion, it will just help you get to know people and more of a quality time. So you're really able to kind of invest into them and get to know them just not over a week, but throughout the first month of school and so on.
And I would just ask either Katie or Olivia or both, do you want to share anything about your own incoming process through Springboard and then also 1787? And also can maybe someone say what a frog is, since we put that out there without explaining it, and that might be weird if you don't have context.
Yeah, sorry. A frog is a first-year orientation guide. They kind of lead the freshmen or the newly admitted students through their orientation experience. When I was a freshman, it was a very long week, waking up early, going to sleep late, moving all day, every day, and you kind of did burn out by the time classes started. So I think this new plan of kind of less compacted but more stuff spread out over a longer time will have like a really wonderful effect for the incoming class this semester.
Olivia, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so when I went through 1787 in the fall, because I'm currently a freshman, it's a really great experience. I'm excited to see what like the changes are gonna do, but it really familiarizes you with the campus. Like I was so scared I was gonna feel lost, and that's a very normal feeling. But once I went through that 1787 experience, I was all set. I knew where things were for the most part. And it really gives you time to adjust, and it gets you familiarized with people in your area, like your hall. And you always know someone with the frogs, the first year orientation guides. You now know two people who can really help your experience, and even more if you meet more frogs. So it's a very welcoming experience and really gets you adjusted to the school.
Okay, great. And I'm going to put Aaliyah back on the spot here. We've got Kelly who's asking about student government opportunities for first year students.
Yes, it's a great question, Kelly. So I actually got involved with the student government my first year at JMU. And so when you come into JMU, there will be two different things you can kind of do. You can apply to be a senator or representative with the student government. So that's like our members, but our senators, you kind of vote and you're on a committee and things like that. Or you can actually run in an election. And so to run an election, you're able to run for the first year class council. And so they kind of plan the spirit events of JMU. So they'll help plan like a class shirt. They'll start preparing for just different things, helping with the sophomore class and planning class rings and things like that. And so you're able to run in the Student Government Association through the election, or you can just apply to be a member. And so either one works. It really is like, what do you want to be involved with? If you ran for an election, that means you'll just focus on class council with the vice president. You'll help with a lot of homecoming stuff, planning purple out, things like that. Or you can be the member who gets assigned to be on a committee where we have like university services, membership, and things like that. So it kind of depends on what you want to be involved with, but you're able to get involved. We'll be at Student Organite, and we always have stuff on our social media to kind of share what that means as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick pivot from questions and ask Darius to give us the 30-second version of Student Organite because that's been referenced a couple times and want to make sure people know what that is. And then we're going to dive back in. But I also note there was a question about student ambassadors and can first-year students become tour guides from Brianna, and you can apply for that. So we'll come back to formal dances here in a second from Nicole, but Darius, 30 seconds, go for it.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, Student Organite is an organization fair where most of our organizations will be tabling at the event. This gives first-year students the chance to come and talk to members of those organizations to kind of figure out what those organizations are about, what type of programming and events they put on, things about recruitment, how do I become a member, is there open and closed memberships? I know there was a question about the different a cappella groups and whether or not they audition or not. Student Organite would be the perfect place where you would go to ask those questions because they are at Student Organite. So like I said before, that's the perfect place for first years to kind of get in and try to figure out where their niche is going to be at JMU.
Great. And I want to start with the formal dance question from Nicole, and then I'll see if others want to answer. One thing I would just share is I've had a lot of outreach from the incoming class, the class of 2024, who have lost a prom. And they have asked if JMU would be willing to host a prom for them this year. So I would just say, and I may regret saying this out loud, but if you're interested in helping with that, my email is millertm@jmu.edu. We're putting together a good old-fashioned planning committee to try and figure out how we could host a prom for the class of 2024 who missed theirs this year as the class of 2020. So we want to do what we can to make sure that you have that experience because you lost it this year, and make sure that JMU can be a place that you know will look out for you in those ways. So again, millertm@jmu.edu. Send me a note, and we'll put you on the planning committee. It's already about 15 strong so far of the incoming class. Anyone else want to touch on Nicole's question about formal dances, formals and semi-formals?
I know this year, Students Minority Outreach, it's an organization under CMSS and admissions. They actually hosted a prom, and so that was really cool to see. And so it was a chance just for everyone to get involved. You don't have to be a minority student to go, but you got to wear your little semi-formal dress and network with everyone there. And so different organizations kind of do different things. You don't have to be in a sorority or fraternity to go to a formal or semi-formal. The student government has tried to do formals and semi-formals at different points. I know the Community Service Learning Alternate Break program has tried to do things like this. And so it doesn't matter what organization you're in. Typically, if you just bring the idea to someone, they're willing to work with you to try to really build that, to do a membership share or something. But even like Dr. Miller said, anyone's willing to make these ideas if you just bring them to it if it's not already created.
Okay. Anybody else? There are a lot of opportunities. You'll have those chances to gather with students in many ways. Misty, I want to pass it off to you. We have a question about how can students get involved in service projects throughout the year?
Awesome. Yes, our office would love to connect you. There are certainly other places around campus that you might be doing service. Perhaps it's with a class. You can actually seek out classes that have service opportunities. So if that's something of interest to you, like we can connect you with those places. We can connect you with, we have probably about 85 or 90 different community partners here in the Harrisonburg area. And so depending on whatever you're interested in, maybe it's something you've always worked with and you're really passionate. Maybe it's something you've always wondered about, and like we could likely connect you. So the nice thing is you can stop by our office, you can go to our website and kind of look up a form and like look at some of the list of opportunities that we have, but you can make an individualized appointment with our office as well. So we can sit down and really hear, what does your schedule look like? What are your interests? What are some skills that you bring to the table? And then that way we can also help you feel prepared that whatever service project you would go into, we can talk to you about the mission and vision and values of that organization so that it's really a mutually beneficial opportunity, so that we know that you're going to go in and have a great experience, and our community partner is going to know how to work with students because they're going to have been working with us. And so we kind of all work as this bridge organization to make sure that if you're interested in service, whether it's a long-term opportunity or maybe it's a one-time opportunity, wherever you have questions, we can get you connected.
Okay, so I want to ask a question to the students on here. One of the things that I think is really important is finding your places on campus. I think students find those, you know, everyone has a different approach to this, how they get here. I also think people are coming from high school where it was join everything and you've got to, you know, have 17 groups on your resume and all that. And I'd like to ask if the three students on here could just give us a little bit of, how did you find your people, your places? How long did that take? Sort of, you know, did you have some false starts? Anything you want to share just about that process of finding your places, your people, however you hear that? I'd be interested in hearing that. And Katie, I'm going to go ahead and start with you if that's okay.
Yeah. My advice to incoming students is always just to like try stuff out and get involved and take some time. And kind of my approach to it freshman year was kind of to just join everything that seemed interesting to me, try everything out, go to student org night, figure out what you want to do, and then kind of like weed it down to what you are really passionate about. But don't, you know, close yourself off to anything in the beginning. There's over 400 clubs and organizations on this campus. There's a place for everybody. And you need to take your time and invest your time in finding out where yours is. But, you know, don't, you know, come into it assuming that you're only going to end up in one place. Like try everything out, give everything a chance, and then narrow it down to like where your place is going to be.
Aaliyah?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And me and my friend Dustin actually really reflected on this the other day. And my biggest thing is everything that Katie said. Like there are so many opportunities for you at JMU. But one thing that I really want to encourage everyone to remember is don't feel pressured to stay there if it's not meant for you anymore. And so throughout your JMU experience, like, you're going to grow and you're going to change. And there's going to be so many things that you experience that really just changes your mindset. And do not be afraid to maybe have been in an organization that you really liked and like those people. But then your mindset just kind of changes and shifts a little bit. And it's okay to leave. It doesn't mean that you still aren't involved in that organization or you don't like those people. It just means you have grown. And so for me, actually, shout out to Siobhan for really helping me and mentoring me through this. But I just did not have my place at JMU yet. Like I was in the Student Government Association my first year, but still, like I was going to transfer. I really just did not want to be here. And so I talked to her a lot about just wanting to create my own organization for other minority women that just like felt like this and that truly didn't feel like they really should be here. They just didn't have a place to talk to people with. And so Siobhan really encouraged me to reactivate an organization. And so I got to go and actually with 11 other people create and recreate this organization that was formerly at JMU a long, long time ago. And so really don't be afraid to kind of create your own things if it's not here, and like really just know that there's people here to support you. And I just try and air everything and don't be content. Always try to keep growing and expanding your horizons in some way.
And I would say before I go to Olivia, I mean, I think Aaliyah is a great example of someone who, when she didn't find it, she made it. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the way JMU was operating is there are communities for people, and you might find your place there, or you might find your sort of place there, but then you have the freedom through the departments that are on this call to create the thing that you're looking for, or to reform something that maybe had faded away over the years and bring that back. I think Aaliyah is excellent at downplaying the impact she's made here, but I think the ability to create something or recreate something is really what I think JMU is about, and I think that she's a great example of doing that. So enough, I won't embarrass her more, but Olivia, anything that you want to add?
Yeah, totally. So I know as like a freshman going through it can be really scary. And I remember going to student org night and I was so overwhelmed. It was like a good feeling and like kind of uncomfortable because you're like, oh my God, there's so many things I could do, but you're what would that even be? So I'd encourage you to try new things and also maybe make a list before going to school of interests that you kind of want to expand on so that you're coming in with, oh, they have an organization for something that I really want to do. Like maybe you're interested in like sign language. I know there's like a sign language club that you could totally join. But also I know when I started rushing a sorority, that can always be an intimidating process because it's always different wherever you look at different universities. And I was told throughout the entire process to stick with it. Just keep doing it. Don't worry about it. And like, you can always feel unsure about that, but it's one of the best decisions I had ever made. So sometimes sticking with something that may seem uncomfortable to you at first is a good thing. So you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're going to find your family. And I'm already a part of 2 organizations, another one being Marathon, which is like the dance marathon that they have at high schools and other universities. So just you're gonna find it. No matter, just keep trying. You're gonna find your home.
And I think it's important to remember that don't allow who you were in high school to define who you can become in college. I had a student who was all theater in high school, and that's all he did, and he didn't want to be a theater kid in college, and he joined the triathlon club having never run competitively, bike competitively, or swam competitively, and then a year later he was the vice president of the club, and really then he became a competitive triathlete, even though all he'd ever done in high school was theater things. So he decided to redefine himself in college, and I think that's really the opportunity that you get when you go into that new space. I want to touch on one of the questions that we have here about intramural sports or club tryouts. I'll start. This is from Allison, and then if others have more insight. One of the things that I think is really amazing about the college environment around sports is you have the varsity level sports at the highest level. Then you have club sports where you're still competitive, you're still traveling, you're still potentially competing for national championships. But it maybe is 2 or 3 days a week that you're practicing versus every day of the week. And then if you just want to be a recreational player in any sport imaginable, you could sign up for intramurals. And if you don't have a team, you could sign up as a free agent, get picked up by people and get put on a team. The number of things in our intramural program are just amazing. And on Thursday, they're having a chat just like this as part of Virtual Choices, I believe also at 2:00, where you can join them and ask more of those questions. So I think what UREC offers, what it provides to our students is amazing. One of my favorite events every year that I finally got to see in person this year is called Battleship, where students are quite literally in canoes in the pool, and they use buckets and shields, and your goal is to sink everyone else's canoe. And it's an all-day competition championship thing. So it gives you an example of sort of what they do in UREC and how they do that. So I appreciate sort of you asking the question, but also there's a lot of opportunity out there for students. I want to ask if, Siobhan, I talked a little bit about 1787 weeks of welcome. I wanted to see if you'd be willing to add a little bit more to that. I sort of just went broad. If you have some other detail you want to add, and then Misty, I was hoping you could talk a little bit more about being involved after Siobhan does that.
Sure. So Weeks of Welcome, as Dr. Miller kind of already touched on a little bit, it will be an extension of our 1787 orientation. So really an opportunity for students to not just get that little tease of getting involved and getting acclimated, but having that be extended into the time that they start here at the university. And so it's a really great opportunity really to explore and really be able to explore the events that are happening, explore the organizations that are posting, or excuse me, are putting on those events. And so it's just a really great time to just kind of just jump in and just see what JMU does have to offer. Of course, that's not the only time to be able to do that. You have so many more opportunities, and you have a JMU career, so you'll be able to explore throughout that career. But it's a great jumping point to really kind of jump off into, exploring.
Great. Misty?
Awesome. Yeah. So Be Involved is it's a website that you can check out even starting now. So that's where all of the clubs and orgs that Darius has talked about have access to creating a web page for you to be able to kind of take a sneak peek, kind of how Olivia was saying. If you want to think about some of the things you already know that you really love, you can go ahead to beinvolved.jmu.edu and you can check out current clubs and orgs that we have. Certainly that's updated by those student leadership and exec team members, so they might be a little bit in transition right now, but it's just nice to be able, you can sort by things you're interested in, and like sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you just go there and look, as Olivia said, there are just tons of options, and so sometimes you might not have even been aware that you might have an interest in something because you didn't know it had ever been like actually organized and everyone working together. So it's just a really great resource that you can check out before you come, so you can start getting excited now about the opportunities. Or if you notice a hole, then you say, hey, like I have another club or org that I want to try to get started. Or also, like, let's say you go to Student Org Night, how Olivia was mentioning, so there's tons of things there. It's a way that you can say, like, I didn't make it to everything, or I can't remember everything. So you go to beinvolved.jmu.edu and you can kind of look through things again and get things situated and reach out to all those clubs and orgs presidents and get connected to them so that you can ask questions or become a member.
Great. And Siobhan, do you want to add a little bit about how students can find out about what we offer during Weeks of Welcome?
Yes, thank you. So you can download an app called Guidebook, which is an incredible opportunity to have it right at your fingertips. So you can download Guidebook, and all the offerings of all the events that will happen during Weeks of Welcome are right there. You can see the descriptions, you can get more information about who's hosting it, and it's a really great tool, and you can kind of build a calendar even. So you can add your events and it will pop up and give you reminders and all of that so that you don't miss a thing.
All right, so we're going to wrap up here with quick round robin, rapid fire. Maybe your 20-second, what's the one last thing you want to tell the incoming class of 2024? We're going to start with Lexi and then go Siobhan, Darius, Misty, Olivia, Katie, and the last word will be Aaliyah's. So we'll start with Lexi. Whatever else you want to, what's your 20, 30-second last thing you want to say to the class of 2024?
Well, we're so excited to have you here. We cannot wait to have you for us to be back on campus so that we can welcome you. Recruitment registration opens May 1st for both fraternities and sororities. And we are using that as an opportunity to connect with you throughout the summer, share more information with you, things that we might have been able to do in person on Springboard. Follow us on social media, Instagram, JMU FSL. We have an Agora, which is Greek for a gathering place, where we hang out every Friday at 2:30, and we'd love to have you join us and to connect with you.
Okay, Siobhan?
Yes, class for 24, we are exceptionally excited to have you. We know these are interesting times, but we will be back on campus to be able to welcome you in true JMU fashion. Get involved. Getting involved truly is an opportunity to explore who you are, be able to meet other people, and really find your place. So please take advantage of every opportunity that's given to you, but don't get overwhelmed. Take it bit by bit, but definitely get engaged, get involved, because truly you can find some lasting friendships and some lasting relationships here on this campus.
Darius? Oh, muted. You can unmute. All right, let's go to Misty and then we'll come back to you, Darius. You're still muted here.
Yes, so I would my words of wisdom are just be willing to stretch your comfort zone. So there may be things that you think you already know about yourself, and I just imagine that in college, those could just be shaped a little differently. So it's not saying you're not going to be true to some of the main values that you already have, but those might expand in breadth and depth. And so there are tons of ways for you to have opportunities that can be really meaningful, that can foster those kinds of relationships, and that can make you, like, I think a lot of people, when they come to JMU, they just talk about like, oh, the spirit I feel. And I think that those kinds of relationships and those opportunities that you can have when you're involved are what really plants the deep roots of pride that we have in being a Duke.
Darius?
Yeah, so I would just say, like everybody else, please take advantage of all these wonderful involvement opportunities we have at JMU. I think people really don't understand the type of professional development and other kinds of development you can get from just being a member in, any organization. I wouldn't be the person who I am today if I didn't participate in student involvement opportunities when I was an undergrad in college. So please, please, please take advantage of these wonderful opportunities. It's a chance to make lasting memories, and you'll really create a bond with the university if you get involved.
Olivia?
Okay, number one, go Greek. Number two, this is like your chance to kind of start over if you want and really find yourself. Like, I know the person I was a year ago is very different than the person I am now. And that's because of the organizations that I got involved with and even trying different organizations. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, as weird as it seems at first. And everyone is going to get adjusted eventually.
Okay, Katie?
As a senior, you know, my Madison experience is coming to an end. And I've been reflecting on like the ways that I've changed over the past 4 years. And I'm really excited for the class of 2024 to experience all the things that I did and have, you know, the same kind of wonderful experience that I've had on campus. But their experience is going to be, you know, their own and unique. And I'm excited. They should go and make it their own. Don't, you know, count anything out, try everything. And of course, I'm here to hype the university program board. So they are accepting applicants in the fall, and you should follow UPB JMU on Instagram to see what kind of cool virtual programming we're up to now, and then in-person programming we'll be up to in the future.
All right, Aaliyah with the final word.
It's class 2024, you all are actually the most resilient class that is really going to come into JMU. And so even like during this time, while we have these stay-at-home orders or wherever you may be, really use this time to like think about who you really want to be and like be willing to transform yourself. Dr. Miller said, you don't have to be the same person you were in high school. Like truthfully, I have changed in so many ways. And there's still people that are like, how are you this person? You weren't this before. Like being willing to like growth can happen at any point in your life, and just be intentional about those things. And don't even come into JMU and take your time to get involved if you need to, but don't feel pressured to join orgs because of the name or the title. It's not even all about that. It really just matters what they value and who you value. So even with African American recruitment, that we don't have a particular recruitment period. We meet the Greeks. Go there and really meet the Greeks, get to know them, who are they. Don't even think about the name or the title. Like even my organization, don't think about the name, think about the people in it, because those are things that are really going to transform you as a person. And just remember that about all your organization, it's not about the title, the name, the clout. It's about what they do and who they are and how you really serve. And so I encourage you all to really think about that and dive into your values and allow JMU to open doors for you into this new person that you really want to transform into be.
Great. Well, I want to thank our amazing panel for joining us today. Please see our websites and follow our social media handles that we place in the comments so you can keep up with us. Remember, this is just a glance of all that you can do here. There are more a cappella, club sports, everything you can imagine on this campus that you can connect with beginning at Student Org Night during 1787 Weeks of Welcome. If we were not able to get to your questions during this panel, please leave your questions in the comment section and we'll make sure to respond to those. You can also visit the Choices website for more information. The link will be posted below. Hope you all have a great day. Enjoy your summer. We can't wait to see you soon, class of 2024, and go Dukes. Take care, everybody. Thanks.
Go Dukes.